Hello YouTube, Jumpy23 with round 5 of ADV Revival. So I'm bringing you Endill versus Sadlysius today. Sadlysius? I don't know. Sadly. And if you have watched our previous invitational coverage, these should both be names that need no introduction. They've both top-aided multiple ADV invitationals. Endill top-aiding both Invitational 1 and 2. And sadly, top-aiding Callus Invitational 7 and then Invitational 1 back-to-back. So, yeah, this is a high-level match. These players are both 4-0 going into this round, and without any further ado, let's get started. Metagross into Salamence. If the Metagross is Choice Band, it's probably just going to go for an attack, and it's Choice Band, it's specifically Houdini, and it explodes turn 1. Sadly, Metagross surviving that means it's probably pretty defensive. And sadly going out to Ludicolo. Ludicolo, obviously not the most commonly seen Pokemon, but it's got some neat traits. It's a special sweeper with Leech Seed. And some unique defensive properties, so it's pretty good at beating Suicune, especially if it is got Protect or Substitute. It doesn't seem to have either, so it's switching out, scared of Suicune getting like +6 and throwing out really strong Ice Beams, but Snorlax comes in and forces out the Suicune. Because with the Leech Seed and no Sand up, the Snorlax is going to easily 1v1 it. Swampert comes in, it has no lefties, and it shows it's, Endeavor, Swampert. That set's been all the rage these days. I have no idea what Endill's running, but this is a pretty fun team from both sides. And Ludicolo sets its range, so it's faster than the Swampert, and then puts the Swampert in Slack range as the Swampert subs. But, of course, Ludicolo is still faster. However, Swampert reveals that its last move is Roar. So it's able to force out the Ludicolo and get huge damage on the Salamence. So now Ludicolo and Salamence both took a lot from that Swampert. Kind of accomplished a 2-for-1 trade-up, which is what you're really hoping to do when you run an Endpert. Any more than that is just extra credit. But 2-for-1 is already great, of course. Kind of makes up for the Metagross going less than 1-for-1. And sadly, going to Metagross but not exploding there is an interesting choice. I would have expected Sadly to just take the explosion. Maybe Sadly thought that Endill had a Gengar in the back or something. But goes for Mash, misses, not too impactful, and now the Suicune is trying to 1v1 the Snorlax. It says that, Endill's not running a team that's great in the Snorlax, although we kind of already knew that because, no Scarm, no Tyranitar, and lives on 1. Now, admittedly, that was not a low roll return. The previous one only did 28. And sadly, going to Umbreon indicates not really having anything for Suicune except for the Ludicolo that's super low. But Umbreon is at least able to survive that Surf and Toxic. Oh, but the Suicune does have Rest. For an offense-paced team like Endill, that's a little bit surprising. So I'm sure Sadly wasn't expecting that, probably thinking the last would be like Substitute or Roar. However, the Umbreon gets a Wish Off to the Metagross, and it's able to explode on the Suicune. Which I guess it could have done earlier, but better late than never. And the Ludicolo is actually healthier than I remembered, so the Swampert really did succeed in taking it out, and it's presenting quite a threat. Now, Sadlysius doesn't seem to have a real answer to Snorlax, but is able to force it to explode with a Leech Seed. Must not have been Rest Snorlax. And Raikou comes in. Raikou always threatens Substitute, so Sadly is afraid to leech it. Endill's not going for Substitute, though. He's going for the win with just hard Calm Minding, and after 2 Calm Minds, he probably one-shots the Ludicolo. No, he doesn't. But he lives another Surf. So Ludicolo has to go for Leech Seed, try and make something happen with Snorlax. So Snorlax is going to get a Leech here. It's going to get knocked out by a T-Bolt, so it's going to switch out. Yes. Sack the Umbreon to T-Bolt, go back to Lax. Now it will live 1 T-Bolt. So the question is, what's Endill's last? It's Salamence. So intimidating the Lax is obviously super helpful, except it's Rest Lax, so you better be physically... Okay, 44, that's a lot. That's going to 3-shot, and the Lax is not Rest Talk, which makes sense because Rest Talk is a terrible set. So Endill takes game 1. That was a tight, fun offensive battle between these two teams. 2 sandless, spikeless offenses always makes for some of the funniest content. I guess it's a little off to call Sadly's team offense when they revealed 2 Trappers right at the end with Umbreon Magneton. That was, I guess, what's been called before all in on Lax or please don't crit me. But either way, really cool battle, and on to game 2. Now in game 2, it's Endill's turn to run a Salaman's lead, and of course Tyranitar is afraid of Brick Break and goes out to Gengar turn 1 as Endill goes for Brick Break, and it's a Choice Banded Salamence, so a very good call by Sadly to switch out of that one. And Blissey comes in to eat whatever Gengar's got now. Without Spike Up, Blissey really is not afraid of Gengar. Even if they land the Wisp, it's just, they're very far from actually breaking through your Blissey, so Sadly goes out to Fori to try and get the Spike Up, and Endill goes to his own Fori, so it's a Fori mirror. Now, is he going to... He does spin immediately. Normally, the safe move is just to Spike, so you don't thud, especially with a revealed Gengar. And Endill maybe thought Sadly would, you know, overpredict, go for a second layer on Endill's first layer, and anyway, none of that happened. Sadly, he's called everything right, but it's Zap Cannon Fortress. Now, if Endill's got Heal Bell, I think he really made out on the good side of that trade, but if he doesn't, I would also absolutely trade my Gengar to burn Fortress, because if I've got my own Fortress, you know, I'm winning this one long term. So Sadly, again, just like staying in the lead here. Getting a Spike Up, so now Sadly has a Spike to Endill's none, and reveals Doug Trio. Endill gets the Salamence in safely, and Bricks, trying to catch Tyranitar on an HP Fly, just hits a Swampert, and it's going to take a lot of correct reads to break through a Swampert. This is really looking dominant for Sadlysius at this point. Starmie is a good switch into Swampert, especially if it has Recover, which it usually would on a Fortress team, and I guess that explains why Endill was happy to trade his Fortress. For Gengar, he's got a second spinner, maybe. The Starmie may or may not have spin. 3 attacks Recover is kind of a zeitgeist set right now, but the way that Endill played it, you'd think he has spin. Sadly is fishing Earthquake crit. As you can see here, they're doing 46, so even a crit would not necessarily kill. It might be a roll to kill. I like to run just enough defense on my Recover Starmies that Earthquake crit never kills. But eventually, Sadly decides that's not getting anywhere. I don't want to use all my Earthquake PP. Switches out, and the Starmie reveals it does also have Rapid Spin. Now, Sadly's Fortress has HP Bug, and that's a pretty chunky HP Bug doing 49, so... you know, Endill isn't crit, it died at crit range, but at least has the second spinner, because Endill's Fortress is not going to be his progress maker if it's permanently burned. Goes for another spin as the Gengar comes in, again not making anything happen there. Are we going to see a Spike? Yes, and now Endill has probably successfully gotten his Fortress to spin by forcing Sadly to stand and spin with their Fortress. Yes, because Sadly's team is more afraid of Spike than Endill's team, as they don't have a second spinner. And Endill paralyzes Sadly's Fortress with Zap Cannon. 2 for 2 on hitting Zap Cannon, by the way. That makes a lot of sense, because that's one of the only ways that Endill's going to keep a Spike up, is a lucky full para. Because, you know, he's only got 1 or 2 more turns to fish for that. Is he going to get it here? Nope. Okay, 1 more turn, and Endill's going to try and fish for a full para here, so that he can have a Spike Up. No, he's not. He's going to Rapid Spin, as Sadly also Rapid Spins, and he wouldn't have gotten it, so good on Endill to not listen to me there and just go for Rapid Spin. Fire Bliss? Not Fire Bliss, it is Calm Mind Blissey. Well, it could still be Fire Grass, but there's only like 2 guys who run that set. Neither of them are Endill. And Ice Beams the Swampert and gets an immediate freeze. Okay, so Swampert was in a position where it wasn't going to 1v1 Blissey without Focus Punch, which it might actually have, but at the very least it was going to use a lot of Blissey's soft boileds and force some predictable switches, but instead Endill gets an immediate freeze. And Sadly's team, that's going to be a Pursuit Tyranitar, of course, is not well prepared for Calm Mind Blissey. So that's a threat. And Armaldo, Endill running up to 3 Rapid Spinners, but no, this Armaldo Swords Dances, it's faster than Tyranitar. It instantly drops it with a hidden power. Going Tyranitar on Armaldo is interesting. Was that actually not Pursuit? But it was so slow. It must have been Pursuit. I don't know. Anyway, but the Frozen Swampert is just terrible luck for Sadly now, because normally that would be a great Armaldo counter, but it was frozen. And last to Blissey, wow. That Ice Beam freeze on Swampert really turned this game around, and this Armaldo is just primed to rip through Sadly's defensive team. And Sadly fishing for Ice Beam freezes. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, because who knows what Armaldo has. Armada cannot be crit, so sadly needed a freeze. It was not a freeze or crit situation, but they didn't get it. And congratulations to Endill for taking this one with that really interesting team. And Armaldo being the MVP is not something you see every day. Thanks for watching.